All right, we should be up and running. I think the stream is functioning properly. Let me just double check that that's the case. Yeah, it looks like it's good. All right, well, man, we have a lot of spoilers to talk about, and I guess actually maybe I should mention it at the beginning of this live stream on the off chance that somebody's coming over from the Magic Historian channel and don't realize that I don't bring your kids here. I on this channel I talk in a way it's not good for the kids. I mean, I guess I do that in the live streams on my other channel too, but those don't stay up, and the live streams here have been staying up. Anyways, whatever. Keep your kids far away from this. Done. All right, all good. All good. What up, Mendoza? What's up, Will Bill? What's up, Eric? We're here to talk about Strixhaven spoilers, literally from A to Z. There are tons of them here. I think I counted about 80 different cards that we've got to look at. So it's a ton. I don't even know if we're going to be able to make it through all of them. If not, then I'll just kind of catch up on them in future installments, because there's been a bunch of stuff going on that I wanted to talk about that wasn't Strixhaven spoiler info. So we're gonna dive into that here and just kind of chill out, check out a bunch of Magic cards, because there's only so many that I can cover in individual videos since I don't really do the batch spoiler style videos. What up, Joku? What up, McGregor? All right, so like I said, we're going A to Z, literally. We have a card that ends with Z or Z if you are a fellow Canadian, although, I don't know, man, Z just feels easier. Z feels like an entire word. Z feels like a letter, right? So, wet your whistles, put some liquid in your face holes. This is just water. It's just water today, nothing super exciting. Like you can see, it's nothing magical in this cup. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's take a look. What are we starting out with here? What do we have up on the screen first? We have Academic Probation. All right, so we've got 1 white and 1 for a sorcery that's a lesson. Okay. And choose one. Choose a non-land card name. Opponents can't cast spells with that chosen name until the next turn. Choose target non-land permanent. Until your next turn, it can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. So it's like a targeted mini silence, or it's a way to shut down a creature from being able to engage in combat, or turn off the activated abilities of a creature or artifact or whatever. I mean, as far as lessons go, considering there's a bunch of ways to get these things into your hands for free, this is not too shabby. The artwork is, I mean, pretty straightforward, I guess. This is how they handle wayward students, I guess, who they don't want to cast particular spells. I mean, it looks like, I guess you've got the two representations, like the top part where the magic is swirling around the face is meant to represent you can't cast the particular spell, and then around the hands would be the permanent not being able to attack or block or use its activated abilities, I guess. I mean, seems alright. Seems like an alright card. The artwork's pretty straightforward in terms of you have a very stern teacher going, "What are you doing, Billy? You're not allowed to be causing your nonsense times, so here you go. I'm gonna put some magic around your face." Alright, what do we got next? What up, noob? Next up, we got Accomplished Alchemist. This is 1 green and 3 for a 2/5. Alright. A 2/5 Elf Druid. Tap to add a mana of any color. And actually, yeah, I guess you guys can hear me easily and properly here, right? I probably should have done that right at the beginning and said, "Can you hear me properly through the microphone?" Because all the comments are just hello and stuff like that. So I don't know if you guys can effectively hear me or not. I assume so. Sound is good. Sounds clear. Excellent. Okay. Let us continue on then. So we've got a 4 mana 2/5 Elf Druid. It taps to add a mana of any color, or tap it to add X mana of any one color, where X is the amount of life you gain to this turn. It's a funky ability. I mean, it doesn't seem like too busted. Do you know what I mean? Because it costs 4 to put out, and you can only get a bunch of extra mana if you're gaining life. It definitely feels interesting from just the perspective of, like, green has had life gain going on from the very beginning of the game, right? Back in Alpha, you had Stream of Life. So having nature magic tied into life gain, that actually makes perfect sense to me. I get that as a concept, but it's just like tying it into the mana you can produce is a really cool way of doing things. I like that. The flavor text says tincture of Murkroot and Lizard Feet. Simple. One that doesn't taste like Murkroot and Lizard Feet. I'm working on it. There you go. It's like, all right, you know what? I got some nice potions for you, except they taste terrible. The artwork's all right too. I mean, it shows an alchemist with a bunch of objects floating around them. I'll be real. I don't quite get how this all ties together, where it's just there's a whole bunch of stuff floating around in a storm of magic. This card feels a little bit muddy overall. 100% what's going on with the because it's like the flavor text makes it sound like the alchemist is making these, here you go, I'm making these tinctures, but how is that represented? Like, it doesn't have an ability to give you life. It just has an ability that plays off of you gaining life from other things. So yeah, I don't know, man. The flavor for this feels muddy to me. That's how I'm going to put it. It feels a little bit meh, but I mean, overall, the artwork's still cool. I just don't get it. When I read the whole card together, I don't get what they were going for as a concept. It's not apparent to me. What is next? Aether Helix. That's a cool card name. All right, 1 blue, 1 green, and 3. It's a sorcery. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So you can bounce one of your opponent's permanents if you want. You can bounce your permanent if you want. And then you also get to bring a permanent back from your graveyard. So the blue side of the card is the permanent bouncing. The green side of the card is the regrowth effect from your graveyard. So that works pretty well as like a green and blue combo. The flavor text says, some Quandric mages prefer to study at twilight, watching their experimental equations trace glowing trails against the encroaching darkness. Well, that's interesting. Just studying at different times, just for a particular predilection towards, oh, I want to have this visual aspect going on. I'm going to do it at night. The artwork is really cool looking. You know, it's just like a swirling vortex of blue and green energy, and you've got like the dark silhouetted mage with their hand outstretched. I can get behind that. That's some satisfying water. All right, so I mean, it's 5 mana is pretty steep as a casting cost for this, but it seems all right. It seems okay to me. And we got Ageless Guardian. This is 1 white and 1 for a 1/4 Spirit Soldier. And that's it. No abilities. Flavor text says, ancient ruins dot the world of Arcavios, most older than Strixhaven itself, and many still guarded by soldiers from the Blood Age, centuries after their death. I mean, the Blood Age is a pretty cool concept. I am curious as to how much information we're going to get about the Blood Age and what it was all about. So I definitely do want to see more of that. The artwork's all right. You got a Spirit Soldier standing there in a little temple, looking all soldiery. I mean, he kind of looks beefier than a 1/4, but he does have a gigantic shield. So, whatever. It's a draft chaff meh card. What up, Paul Texan? How you doing, buddy? Then we got Archway Commons. So it's a land that comes into play tapped. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you pay a mana. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Okay, so this is literally like we have had, what? At least 3 or 4 different cards that are literally this exact same card, just not with this name. Like, this is the 4th variation, at least, of this. It's alright. I mean, the artwork shows a pretty funky-looking site. All those little, like, stone pillars creating that archway, and the little, almost maze-like garden grasses they have. And there's another little statue in the middle with another ring of those stones around it. That's pretty dope, actually. The artwork's alright, man. It's fine. This is just something that helps, you know, set the scenery of Strixhaven, give you a little bit of a window into what it looks like. It's okay, but it's nothing exciting, right? Then we've got an Augmenter Pugilist. 2 green and 1 for a 3/3 Troll Druid with Trample. As long as you control 8 or more lands, it gets +5/+5. What? Whoa. So it's an 8/8? Dude, that is beefy. That is super beefy. Look at that, man. That's amazing. Just the gigantic fist of fucking doom, man. Whoa! And look at how veiny his arms are. It's got them big tusks, too. Flavor Text says, hold still. I have a theory about what's going to happen to your face. Oh, good. Good. I'm gonna experiment with your face. I don't think that I organized these spoilers in a way where, like, I just grabbed all the pictures. So the other side of this may not show up right away. We might have to go through other cards to find it. Yep, that's the case. Awaken the Blood Avatar. What? I remember seeing the name for this card and going, okay, what is this? I haven't read it yet, though. 1 red, 1 black, 6. It's a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacrificed this way. So you can sack, what, 3 creatures and make this thing cost 2 mana. Okay. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Create a 3/6 black and red avatar creature token with haste. And whenever this creature attacks, it deals 3 damage to each opponent. I was thinking to myself when I read 3/6, I'm like, those are some weird stats. What up, Drake? So yeah, I thought like, okay, this is some weird stats for a 3/6. Shouldn't it be like a big 6/6 beefy boy? And then it said, actually, whenever this thing attacks, it deals 3 damage to each opponent, which gives it a 6/6-ish feel. And the artwork shows this crazy avatar, multi-limbed demon-looking beast. But like part of it, I don't know if that's supposed to be wings or if that's just... how exactly does it just directly do the damage? Is it because it has whips and stuff like that? It's got a big old axe and a giant sword. And, I mean, it doesn't have flying, does it? No. So are those supposed to be wings on the ground? Or are those, like, its cape? Maybe that's its cape. Or maybe that's what part of it reaches around and actually fucks you up with the 3 damage. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what's next. That artwork's funky. Beaming Defiance. 1 white and 1 for an instant. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and hexproof until end of turn. Huh. Interesting. That feels more like a green spell than a white spell, but whatever. I've lived too long in my father's shadow. It's time to find my own light. Alright. That's, it's a magic card. Doesn't really do much for me. It's just a guy standing there. Woo! Yippity-doo! Let's just move on. Alright, we got Blade Historian. Oh, this is 4 red and white hybrid for a 2/3. And it's a human cleric that gives all attacking creatures you control double strike. Respectable. That is definitely respectable. The artwork's not too shabby either, man. You've got like 4 different tomes flying around him that are open with all this magic flowing in to this sword. It feels more like a spell where you're creating an artifact or something. You know? I guess he's just using his magic to make an extra sword for everybody. Double swords, double swords, double swords. Everybody gets swords. Alright, not too bad as a card though, you know? Alright, what do we got next? Bury-in Books. 1 blue and 4 instant. Costs 2 less to cast if it targets an attacking creature. Put target creature into its owner's library second from the top. Flavor Text says, there are no weapons allowed in the Biblioplex, but a clever mage is never truly defenseless. Oh, okay, so there's no weapons allowed in the Biblioplex? Why are there no weapons allowed in the Biblioplex? Is it because you don't want, like, I don't know, maybe weapons to be used to destroy the books or anything? Like, you wouldn't want there to be an accident using weaponry that might damage your precious knowledge and your precious books, right? Like, the books, that's what it's all about, right? The Biblioplex, it's all about books. It's all about fucking books. Protecting the books. Can't bring weapons in because you got to protect the books. Oh, wait, you can just throw the books around like they don't fucking matter. Oh, so why can't you take weapons into the Biblioplex again? Is it because it might damage the fucking books? What the fuck? What the fuck? Dude, this is the law. Welcome to Strixhaven, repository of all magical knowledge. Oh, did you just fucking mess up a whole stack of books? Oh, well, we don't care about that shit here. It's fucking stupid. That's dumb. That's dumb. Alright, we got Campus Guide. 2 mana for an artifact golem. When Campus Guide enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, shuffle your library, put that land on top. Flavor text says, there's nowhere in Strixhaven I can't find. Where do you need to go? Yeah, alright. I mean, it seems like the kind of thing they would have at a magical school, right? To guide people around. Yeah, no swords, but you can use fire magic. It's true. Hey, what's up, Nathan? Leave your weapons here, but you can use books. You can use books to fuck around. Why not? Who cares? That's annoying. The artwork is... I don't know exactly what the hell he is. He's goofy looking, though, I'll tell you that. He is goofy looking. Then we got Clever Lumomancer. 1 white for a 0/1. Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. That feels really different, actually. White doesn't normally feel like it gets, like, boosts of this nature. This is an ability that actually feels maybe more red or green. Do you know what I mean? This doesn't feel white. The flavor text says, you're too dim to realize it, but you've already lost. Oh, there you go. And then it's like, you got the mage and she's standing there. Boo! I got a little ball of light flowing around in my hand. Nathan, Jeskai Prowess? Yep. Fair enough. Fair enough. It just doesn't feel like a mono white thing to me, that's all. Cody Vociferous Codex. What is this? 3 casting cost, legendary artifact. Oh, it's a creature? Oh, dude, it's like an animated book on a stand that's alive. All right, I can get behind this. That seems like fun. You can't cast permanent spells. What? Wait, what the fuck? Why? What am I getting? What do I get in return that I can't cast permanent spells? 4 mana and tap it, add 1 of each color. So you're up 1 mana and have all 5 colors. Okay. When you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with lesser mana value. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Until end of turn, so it's like a Cascade on crack. Why didn't they call him Cascady? Well, I guess because he's a Codex. So I'm Cody the Codex. That's pretty insane, actually. Built-in Cascade. And the rest of the cards that are revealed are put on the bottom of the library in a random order. That's standard issue. He's literally a wandering Cascade tome. That's cool, man. That's a really cool concept. I like that. The artwork shows the little like metal wire legs are his legs. And he's got like just the one eye on the front of the book. Dude, that's awesome. Imagine you're in the Wizard Academy or whatever, and you just come upon this book here and you think to yourself, oh, what is this? What secrets does this hold? And you reach out to touch it, and right before you flip it open, this giant eye on the cover, it basically just looks up at you, and then one of its legs shoves you away. It's like, what the fuck? That's awesome. That's fun. That seems like a fun card. Then we've got Cogwork Archivist. 6 mana for a 4/5 construct with reach. 2 and tap it. Put target card from a graveyard in the bottom of its owner's library. It's the largest library in the multiverse. Of course it has the largest librarians. And they look like they're on Segways. It looks like a Phyrexian on a Segway. It honestly looks... It feels like it's... It feels like it's Kaladesh artwork or something, dude. It gives me a Kaladesh vibe. You know, there are books areas tucked here or there, but it does give me that Kaladesh kind of vibe. This is just draft garbage, let's be real. This is not an exciting card. The idea of, you know, whatever. I'm not excited. I'm just going to move on. Combat Professor. 1 white and 3 for a 2/3 bird cleric. He's got flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains vigilance until end of turn. Flavor text says, before Uvis? Is there a mouse? Is there a mouse pointer over the flavor text? I tried to move my mouse. Guys, on the screen, do you see a mouse, like a literal pointer over the flavor text? Is that just an after thing for my computer? Like over the word performed. So it says, before Uvis was cut down at Prantical Peak. Prantical Peak, what a weird name. She performed which maneuver? Anyone? From the reading? Okay, so that image legitimately just has a mouse pointer. I'm glad you guys can see it. I wasn't sure if it was a glitch or not. All right. So, I mean, whatever. This card represents one of the bird tutors. I'm going to teach you in combat. +1/+0 in vigilance. Fine. Fits into the flavor of that. The artwork is pretty cool with the swords of light that he's holding. You know what I mean? It makes him feel a little more magical. But overall, this is an underwhelming card. Did I take the screenshot? No, Nathan. Nope. All the images that I'm using here were acquired from the Mythic Spoiler website. So I didn't, I'm not responsible for that. I'd probably do a worse job, I'm sure. Next up, we've got Creative Outburst. 2 red, 2 blue, and 3 for a dance number. It's an instant. It creates... No, it doesn't create. What am I talking about? Oh, it's creative. Hold on, my brain is broken. Creative Outburst deals 5 damage to any target. Look at the top 5 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Pay 2 mana, discard Creative Outburst, create a treasure token. Okay, so the outburst can either be in the form of creating a treasure or spending 7 mana to do 5 damage and dig for a card. That feels pretty expensive. The artwork is interesting until I start thinking about it being like a student doing a stupid dance at the mage school. Like, as some kind of maybe somewhat abstract concept, I'm like, oh, this is cool. But as soon as I think of just like a wizard, like, I'm dance magicking, I'm like, oh, it feels kind of lame. It feels kind of lame. Then we got Culmination of Studies. A red, a blue, and X for a sorcery. Exile the top X cards of your library. For each land card exiled this way, create a treasure token. For each blue card exiled this way, draw a card. For each red card exiled this way, Culmination of Studies deals 1 damage to each opponent. Interesting. This feels like it could actually be pretty gross. This feels different. The flavor text says, Will's quick thinking meshed with Rowan's raw power to bring down the Blood Avatar. Oh, it's a story spotlight. So Will and Rowan are fighting against the Blood Avatar. What Blood Avatar? What? I'm missing parts of this story. The artwork looks pretty epic, though. Their music coming together to create like a collar almost to drag it down. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It looks cool, though. But I don't know exactly what's going on. Then we got Curate. 1 blue and 1 for an instant. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put any number of them into your library. Into your graveyard. I'm just going to start over. Good God. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest back on top of your library in any order. Draw a card. And so that's just Surveil 2, right? Yeah, that's Surveil 2. I guess they don't want to bother using that keyword for this set. So the flavor text says Catharin War Chants Volume 3 ? That doesn't even belong in this wing. There you go. So you've got a robot that's exclaiming like that. Oh my God! This thing isn't even supposed to be here. It's like, who fucking made you to do this shit? It's unnecessary. Fuck you, robot. Alright, I'm moving on. Defend the campus. 1 white and 3 for an instant. Choose one. Creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. Or destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Flavor text says, Professor scrambled to push the mage hunters back, leaving the heart of Strixhaven undefended. We got another story spotlight card. So this is protecting the school. And all the professors could do was give creatures +1/+1. And how did Strixhaven survive? I don't know. Then we got Dueling Coach. 1 white and 3. You can tell when I don't give a shit about a card. 1 white and 3 for a 2/2 human monk. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And 5 mana and tap, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Alright, whatever. You got a monk that teaches other people how to duel. The artwork looks like it literally could be anything. It's just, I'm standing here with my hand like this, some magic swirling around it, so meh. Meh. Then we got Echoing Equation. So this is the other side of that that white, not white, sorry, the green 3/3 that turns into 8/8 that we saw. 2 blue and 3. Choose target creature you control. Each other creature you control becomes a copy of it until end of turn, except those creatures aren't legendary if the chosen creature is legendary. Any good experiment is repeatable. All right, you know what? I like this. This seems like fun. Being able to make all of your dudes into a particular dude, even if he's legendary, feels like you could have a lot of silly fun with it. The artwork's all right. You can see a mage going, hey, look, putting my hand out and making a bunch of copies of a guy in the background. Moving on. Ecological Appreciation. 1 green, 2 plus X. So it's this mythic sorcery. Search your library and graveyard for up to 4 creature cards with different names that have mana value X or less, and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Shuffle the chosen cards into your library and put the rest onto the battlefield. Exile Ecological Appreciation. Interesting. So it's kind of like a Gifts Ungiven, except it doesn't send the cards that your opponent doesn't want you to have to the graveyard. It puts them back in the deck, because that stops you from having the ability to gain advantage from them being in the graveyard. All right. And the artwork shows an old druid and a bunch of different forms of life kicking around. You even got little glowing butterflies. It honestly feels like a cozy little scene deep in the woods, man. Seems pretty solid. Then we've got the Efreet Flame Painter. 1 red and 3 for a 1/4 double strike. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant or sorcery from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell will be put into your graveyard, exile instead. Oh, cool. 2 free casts a turn. There's definitely never going to be a problem with that. I mean, maybe the fact that it's 4 and 1/4, maybe. I don't know. She's doing a flamey kind of dance. It looks all right, actually. The fiery edges, the fiery frill of the dress is actually pretty enjoyable. I like this. This is okay. Sometimes the dancing magic aspect that they're pushing into this set doesn't sit right for me, but with this, I dig the vibe of it overall. That's pretty cool. Next up, we got Elemental Masterpiece. 1 red, 1 blue, and 5 for a sorcery. Create 2 4/4 blue and red elemental creature tokens. Discard the card. Pay 2 blue, 2 red. Ugh. Hybrid. Oh, God. Oh, God. Rutha passed with flying living colors. Rutha looks pretty stupid. I mean, the elemental dolphins look pretty cool, but Rutha just, I don't know what is with the way that she is leaping. This, like I said, man, this whole dancing magic thing, I mean, you're trying something new. I'll give you that. You're trying something new, and it is definitely hit or miss. That's how I feel about it. I feel like it's super, super hit or miss. And this one for me, in terms of Rutha, is a miss. In terms of the Dolphins, it's a hit. If it just had them, I'd be okay with this. All right? Let's move on to the next one. Elite Spellbinder. 1 white and 2 for a 3/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast this way costs 2 more to cast. Weird. So you get to see your opponent's hand, and you get to take something away, but only short term, because they can still cast it. It just cuts down on how fast they can do it, right? Like they've got to pay 2 more. That's actually an interesting concept. The flavor text says Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa, world champion. Oh, okay. So this is this must be the card he designed. Okay, fair enough. That threw me off for a second. I was like, wait, what's going on? Is this not a real card? But it definitely is. All right. And you got the artwork that, Yep, okay, that definitely depicts him in the artwork too now, doesn't it? And he's got the little sphere that Luke Skywalker fought against to learn how to wield his lightsaber, and it's shooting out some magic somewhere. I guess maybe that's supposed to be him binding a spell, where it's like, zoop, I grabbed one of the spells out of your brain and I put it here in this little ball that I've got. So whatever, man. I mean, you get to know your opponent's hand, and it's a 3/1 flyer. You get to slow down the spell you want to see the least. It is definitely seeming like this has got some good potential. Moving on, we've got Emergent Sequence. 1 green and 1 for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. That land becomes a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature that's still a land. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each land you had under the battlefield under your control this turn. So if you've already laid a land for the turn and you use this and go and get a land, you're going to create a 2/2 fractal creature. So I mean, 2 mana for a 2/2 creature and putting a land into play tapped. Yes, it's a basic land, but still, this is actually a really solid card. This is really solid. 2/2 in a land for 2 is actually a really good bargain. And the artwork looks like you can see like a little serpent being created up out of fragments of nature. That's cool, dude. That's pretty cool. Good with fast bond, yep. Yeah, actually with fast bond it would be gross, man. That's alright, I like that card. Then we've got a Eureka Moment. 1 blue, 1 green, and 2 for an instant. Draw 2 cards. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay, so it's like a more expensive growth spiral with an extra card tacked onto it, right? At first, the equations were simply numbers. But in those numbers, I saw a story. And in that story, I saw a pattern. And suddenly, it all fit together. All right, you've got a mage having a moment of discovery. I mean, that's what it feels like the artwork is conveying. So the card ties together pretty well. Ties together pretty well. What up, Keebler? What up, Tyler? All right, so this is there's 2 sides to this, and they probably won't be in order again. We've got Explore the Vast Lands. Each player looks at the top 5 cards of their library, reveals a land card and or an instant or sorcery card from among them, then puts the cards they revealed this way into their hand, and the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. Each player gains 3 life. I literally have to reread that card. You ever start to read a Magic card, and by the time you're done reading the text, you realize your brain just didn't bother keeping the first part of the card in your head, and you're like, what? How did I not retain any of that? So, each player looks at the top 5 cards of their library, reveals a land and or instant sorcery, so you can get a land and an instant or sorcery, puts those cards into your hand, and then the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order, and everyone gains 3 life. So, it's weird, because both people are going to benefit from this. Interesting. The artwork's funky. I have no idea what's going on. I do not know what this beast with the multi-arms in the forefront is. And you have these birds flying through. And there's this crazy geographical pattern in the back where you've got spirals of stone that have snow hanging off it and a tiny little building in front. This is some cool artwork, honestly. I dig it, but I don't quite get it. It's very weird. You know, it's some people are going to think almost Eldrazi with this kind of stuff because it's colorless and you got multi-armed weirdos and stuff like that. All right, what do we got next? Explosive Welcome. This costs 8? 1 red and 7 for what? Instant. It does 5 damage to any target and 3 damage to any other target and adds 3 red. Wow, okay. I mean, it's a lot of mana to cast, though. Rowan and Will were a natural fit in Prismari College, the school of outrageous elemental arts. All right, pretty colorful artwork. You got Will and Rowan, and they're heading on into a weird-looking goop pile. Gotta be honest, I don't 100% know what the hell we're looking at. It's another story spotlight, though. Then we've got Extus, the Auric Overlord. 2 black and 1 white and 1 for a 2/4 human warlock with double strike. Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So he just staples a Raise Dead onto every sorcery and instant you cast. That's actually pretty crazy. The flavor text says, "Join me for the dawn of a new age." He's a human warlock. Where's his face? What am I looking at? His hood looks like his face is like glowing, but it's got a tiny little bird face sticking out. Or does he have like a big... What? What is going on in this? I can't... Does he have a big bird mask skull on? What the fuck is this? He's just hanging down in a stalactite hole with a bird mask on his face? What are you doing, Exodus? I don't know. Let's move on. Hey, Fervent Mastery. This is the card I chose to talk about in today's video over on Magic Historian, so no need to talk about that here. Then we got Flame Scroll Celebrant. I think this is the only double-sided card where I actually made sure that the other side shows up next. So, 1 red and 1 for a 2/1 Human Shaman. Whenever an opponent activates an ability that isn't a mana ability, it deals 1 damage to that player. Okay, so it punishes them for activated abilities that aren't mana abilities. Cool. And it's got Fire Breathing of +2/+0 for a red and a colorless. Seems alright. I mean, for what you get for 2 mana, doesn't seem too shabby. The artwork shows, I mean, that's got to be the Flame Scroll. Look at that thing. That's massive. That's intense, actually. There's just this, like, coil of fire that's just running all the way through it, coming out in either direction. That's intense. That is intense. Then we got Revel in Silence. Oh, the artwork continues. The Flame Scroll artwork continues around on this side. So Revel in Silence is 2 white. Your opponents can't cast spells or activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities this turn. Exile Revel in Silence. Alright, I mean, they can't cast spells or use their Planeswalkers. That's pretty intense. And the artwork's cool. It's showing that the fire that was coming out of the Flame Scroll comes to this guy and he just puts his hand up and he's grabbing it and guiding it around himself. That's cool, you know? It's not too shabby. Then we've got Fortifying Draught. 1 green for an instant, you gain 2 life. Target creature gets +X/+X, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. Oh, okay, so we're going to see an entire theme running along through the green cards of bonuses based on the amount of life you've gained in a turn. All right, I like that. Flavor text says, if a seedling can push through solid stone, there's no limit to what I could do. All right, flavor text is nothing special, but I do like the artwork. I do like this druid here with the little potion that he's got ready. I'm going to drink this up and gain some life and become all strong. It's not too shabby, really. 1 mana for a spell that's guaranteed to give at least +2/+2. And the artwork looks funky. Then we got Frost Trickster. 1 blue and 2/2 flying blue bird wizard. And when it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent's control and opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So one of the standard issue draft style cards that we've seen stapled onto a flying body this time. And it says the most important skill in a mage tower match is keeping one's cool. Meh. So you can see that you've got this bird wizard flying, and out from his hands are blue waves of icy magic that are coming down and freezing whoever's unfortunate enough to be at the end of that. It's like, okay, all right. Moister. All right, then we got Go Blank. The artwork is great. 1 black and 2 for a sorcery. Target player discards 2 cards, then exile all cards from that player's graveyard. Just a souped up mind rot. Flavor text says, the only feeling worse than not knowing the answer is the certainty you once did. That actually is some cool flavor text that goes really well with this card. And the way of showing the loss of your thoughts, of having your head, just like the head is literally being sliced away, and there's like the black smoke flowing up off of it. That's intense, dude. That's pretty awesome. What up, Tayson? How you doing, buddy? Dio, you like to go blank? Hell yeah, bro. All right, so yeah, dude, the artwork on this is awesome. I love it. You've got like just everything about it. It looks so good. The style is so cool. Let's move on. The golden ratio: 1 blue, 1 green, and 1 for a sorcery. Draw a card for each different power among creatures you control. Oh, that's interesting. When I look around, I see a world defined by patterns that still manages to defy them. And that is Kian, the Quandrix Dean. And the artwork is supposed to be representative of the golden ratio with that crazy swirl and stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I mean, it's all right. The artwork looks pretty cool. You got a lot of different beasts in there. I dig it. You could definitely draw a lot of cards off this, depending, right? Hall of Oracles. Ooh, it's a rare land. Taps for a colorless mana. 1 and tap it, add 1 mana of any color. Tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. And only if you've cast an instant or sorcery this turn. That seems totally good. This seems pretty good for a rare land. You know? Like, I feel like you get some nice beefiness from this. Oh, and look at the scale of the artwork. I didn't notice at first that there was tiny, tiny little people all around the edges of it, but that's what's going on here. Pretty nutty, man. That's cool. I dig it. It's got an immensity to it that I can get behind. Moving on, we've got Heated Debate. 1 red and 2 for an instant. This spell can't be countered. It deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Okay, I mean, this is some draft stuff right here. While you were wasting time with abstract equations, I mastered ancient Ogiar fire magic. Your move. There you go. It's like, I got uncounterable fire magic, so get wrecked. We got Hofri Ghost Forge. 1 white, 1 red, and 3 for a Hofri. For a 4/5 legendary dwarf cleric. He gives spirits you control +1/+1 trample and haste. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a spirit in addition to its other types, and it has, when this creature leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to your graveyard. Oh, wow, funky, man. That's amazing. This seems really strong. Wow. All right. You just get like an extra use out of all your creatures, and as long as this guy's on the table, they get a boost, and they don't even get permanently exiled, so if the creature dies, they'll come back to your graveyard for other purposes. That's awesome. The artwork shows this shows Ghost Forge here with his little, he's making a spirit bubble. Woo! Woo! I mean, I'll be real, his artwork doesn't feel at all like his ability. I see a bunch of broken stone. Like, why are there chunks of stone flying everywhere with this little, woo, here comes the magic ball. It doesn't make sense. It's a really good card, though, but the artwork is confusing to me. I don't get it. Moving on! We got Igneous Inspiration. 1 red and 2 for a sorcery. Deals 3 damage to any target, and you get to learn. That's alright. Prismari fosters a burning need to create. Alright, and it shows a wizard making a sphere out of lava. That's pretty intense, I gotta be real. Moving on. Illuminate History. 2 red and 2 for a sorcery lesson. Discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. Then if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. So this card has Threshold. Alright. I mean, it's an alright way to filter through cards in your hand. I guess the fact that it's a lesson makes it slightly better because you can get it from outside the game. It feels not too amazing. It feels alright. I mean, illuminating history, there's literally just, there you go, there's a busted statue and I'll hold a torch over it. I have illuminated history! What do we got next? Illustrious Historian. Oh! Me! 1 green, good lord. 1 red and 1 for a human shaman. Pay 5, exile Illustrious Historian from your graveyard. Wait, he only matters when he's dead? I don't want it. Create a tapped 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. So 3/2 red-white spirit creature tokens are the tokens for this particular set. That's a little bit different than usual. The most distinguished Lorehold professors are eligible to receive extended tenure, even beyond the limits of their own mortality. Oh, I guess the idea is that 3/2 spirit token is the historian being brought back. That's pretty funky. All right. I mean, it's okay. Let's move on. Kelpie Guide. Cool. 1 blue and 2 for a 2/2 beast. Tap it to untap another permanent you control. Tap it to tap target permanent. Activate only if you control 8 or more lands. Flavor text says, Kelpies are drawn to, to paradoxes, making them ideal companions for Quandrix mages. That's cool, man. The idea of these crazy Kelpie beasts that can be drawn out by paradoxical magic, I have to admit, I like that flavor. And it's got like a whimsical kind of Greyhound vibe to it. It almost looks like a Greyhound water elemental beast. I dig it. That's pretty cool. Next, we got Leonin Lightscribe. This is 1 white and 1 for a 2/2 Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. Okay. I mean, that seems like it's probably pretty good for a like a very aggressive little wiener deck, but for some reason it just doesn't excite me. I like the artwork though. The Leonin looks pretty cool with the light swirling around him in the darkness. The beasts that are behind him though, I mean, I guess their eyes and mouths are lighting up, so that's supposed to be them getting +1/+1, but I don't think that was originally what this artwork was designed for. It doesn't feel that way to me. I'm going to move on. Lorehold Campus. So this is a land that enters the battlefield tapped, taps for a red or a white. 4 mana and tap it, scry 1. All right. Mage students obsessed with the secrets of the past choose Lorehold, the College of Archaeomancy. I mean, going back through old Magic history and digging all that stuff up is pretty cool. Let's go next. Lorehold Excavation. 1 white, 1 red enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, mill a card. If a land was milled, you gain a life. Otherwise, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Oh, okay, so that's not too shabby at all, really. You're either going to gain a life or your opponent's going to go down by 1 each turn. 5, exile a creature card from your graveyard. Create a tapped 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. This thing's going to be probably a nightmare in draft, dude. This feels like it's going to be a nightmare in draft. The artwork just shows, I mean, a dusky kind of scene with like, well, I mean, you can see excavations going on and statues in the distance and stuff. Not too shabby. It's nice. It looks nice. Moving on. Lorehold Pledge Mage. So this is 2 hybrid red, white, and 1 for a 2/2 first strike. Magecraft. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Flavor text says, the weight of history can empower you or it can crush you. It's your choice. So this is a very ho-hum card, but the artwork's pretty cool. Like the magical scrolls, the words flowing off of the scroll. That's pretty dope. I like that. You know, it's the guy's got kind of a weird look on his face, but whatever. This card's just, it's draft whatever. Let's move on. Mage Hunter. 1 black and 3 for a 3/4 horror. Whenever an opponent casts or copies an instant or sorcery spell, they lose 1 life. Oh, it's an anti-Magecraft card. Makes sense for a Mage Hunter. One of the Auric's most powerful tools is the Mage Hunter, a vile monstrosity created to seek out and snuff out the arcane. Cool. All right, man. That's pretty cool. And it is a pretty intense looking beast, man. I would not want one of these things chasing me down. No, thank you. What do we got after that? The Magma Opus. All right, instead of Magnum Opus, you got Magma Opus. That's kind of fun. 1 red, 1 blue, and 6. Oh, it's a mythic. What does it do? Deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets. Tap 2 target permanents. Create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. Draw 2 cards. That's a lot of stuff going on. Does cost 8 though. I mean, you get to. It does have the other ability of pay 2 blue or red to create a treasure token by discarding it. So, I mean, you can use them to build up to other ones, but it is a lot of mana. The artwork looks pretty dope, though. The elemental that's shown there in the middle of this crazy maelstrom of, like, you've got an elemental in the middle that has almost like an angelic aspect, and then you've got this hellfire inferno behind it, and then surrounding that you have these spikes of ice. Pretty neat. Pretty neat looking. Next up, Make Your Mark. A hybrid red or white for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 till end of turn. When that creature dies this turn, create a 3/2 red-white spirit creature token. Huh. That's actually not too bad. I mean, it's probably still just draft chaffed, but it's not too shabby. I mean, the artwork shows a guy leaping with a flaming sword and, like, what looks like an ancestor of him. I guess that's supposed to be the spirit version. Alright. Then we got Manifestation Stage. This is 4 hybrid green-blue for a human wizard. When it enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Wow, it's underwhelming. The first thing a Quandrix mage learns is the laws of metaphysics. The second thing is how to break them. Alright, whatever. I like the artwork, though. I like this serpent that's being summoned up here. This blue magic serpent's pretty cool. And the mage looks pretty funky as well. But this is an underwhelming card. I'm going to be real. It doesn't really excite me, guys. Then we've got Master Symmetrist. 2 green and 2 for a 4/4 Rhino Druid with Reach. Whenever a creature you control with power equal to its toughness attacks, it gains trample until end of turn. Funky! That's an interesting trigger, where it's based on it having an equal power and toughness because he cares about symmetry and can, like, master symmetry magic that enhances the power of the creature. I actually really dig that as a concept. The flavor text says, Tondo lost his very first duel and has spent his entire life trying to get even. Oh, God. That flavor text, no. Conceptually, very cool. Very cool. Not, like, super powerful, but conceptually very cool. Then we got multiple choice. 1 blue and X for a sorcery. And, there's 4 different... Okay, so if X is 1, scry 1, then draw a card. If X is 2, you may choose a player. They return a creature they control to its owner's hand. If X is 3, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. And if X is 4 or more, do all of the above. Oh, okay. Interesting. Not too shabby. The artwork shows a nod. You've got 3 different options. Some blue magic swirl around. Which one are you going to pick? I want them all. Meh. What up, Tetsaru? Alright, then we got Practical Research. 1 red, 1 blue, and 3. It's an instant. Draw 4 cards. Then discard 2 cards unless you discard an instant or sorcery card. The flavor text says, the twins each research spells to defeat Exodus in their own way. Will hit the library. Rowan hit everything else. So, I guess only Will bothered to learn what they would need to fight Exodus? I don't know. Whatever. I guess they're just trying to be glib. The artwork's okay, though. You know, shows the Kenrith twins just kind of relaxing and studying at the same time. Whatever. It's fine. Then we got the Prismari campus. This enters the battlefield, taps, gives a blue or red. Oh, they all scry. Okay, they're all scry lands. Mage students who see spellcraft as the highest form of expression choose Prismari, the College of Elemental Arts. Let's dance our magic away. Alright. Then we've got Prismari Pledge Mage. So this is 2 hybrid red and blue for a 3/3 Orc Wizard. It's got Defender. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, it can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. Whoop-de-doo. This is not an exciting card at all. Who cares about this? It's Garbo. Many have the talent to create, but few have the courage to share their creations. Whatever. Alright, the Quandrix Campus is the green-blue one. Mage students who see the beauty in patterns and equations choose Quandrix, the College of Numeromancy. It's an alright name. The campus actually looks beautiful. I really like this visually. It's got that, like, you've got all the little foresty kind of areas, and then you've got this void of space with this chasm around the spire in the middle, and it's all, I'm sure, creating some kind of mathematical pattern. I dig that. Then we've got the Pledge Mage from Quandrix. So this is 2 hybrid green, blue, and 1 for a 2/2. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's okay. First step towards transcending physical limitations is discarding assumptions about what is possible. And then it shows the Quandrix Pledge Mage just growing in size. That works. You know, that's fine. Next up, we've got Quintorius the Field Historian. So this is a legendary elephant cleric that costs 1 white, 1 red, and 3. It's a 2/4. Spirits you control get +1/+0. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. And the flavor text says, every life has a story to tell. I won't let them be forgotten. All right. Hey, fair enough, man. I mean, you've got a legendary field historian. Seems fine. The artwork's pretty cool, you know. He's got like a spelunking kind of vibe going on, and he's got like an ancient skull floating above him and glowing with energy. So that's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Then we got Radiant Scroll Wielder. 1 white, 1 red, and 2 for a 2/4 dwarf cleric. Instant and sorcery spells you control have lifelink. Oh, that's funky. We don't normally see things like that. I mean, we saw the one black creature that gives all your instants and sorceries death touch, which is funky. So now you've got one that gives your spells lifelink. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile an instant or sorcery at random from your graveyard. You may cast it this turn. If a spell cast this way will be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. So you can get extra life out of your instants and sorceries. That's not too shabby. And this use of like the scroll magic actually looks really cool, man. The dwarf staying there behind it while it's kind of bowing forwards into this arc and the magic firing off of the scroll with the it's got some really intense energy. I dig that quite a bit. What do we got next? Reconstruct History. 1 white, 1 red, and 2 for a sorcery. Return up to 1 target artifact card, up to 1 enchantment, instant, sorcery, and planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand, and then exile the spell. Wow. You can get back a lot with this. You can get some serious card advantage. You've got, what is it, 5? You can get up to 5 cards back from your graveyard. Admittedly, they all have to be there, but still, that's pretty intense, man. You're getting a good deal. What up, George? And the artwork is, oh, cool. It's a statue being like pulled back together using magic. That's useful magic. You know, if you're going to delve into the past, being able to reassemble things is totally useful magic. I like that. Then we got Reduced to Memory. 2 white and 1 for a sorcery lesson. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller gets a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Interesting. Interesting. That's an answer that can handle a lot, and it's a lesson. But also, they do get a 3/2 creature, so it's not without its dangers, but that's cool. The flavor text says, do not flinch from studying the horrors of the past. History's most important lessons are cloaked in terror and tragedy. And the artwork shows a beast being reduced to memory. This guy is literally ripping the spirit out of this beast. That's awesome. Are you kidding me? This artwork is very, very epic. Wow. Holy shit. That's awesome. What? Sick, man. That's crazy. Look at this goofy looking thing. We got a Relic Sloth. 1 white, 1 red, and 3 for a 4/4 Vigilance Beast. And it's got Menace. The hell's menacing about that? When it comes to transporting priceless, delicate artifacts, safety is more important than speed. Yeah, nothing menacing about it. It looks like a slightly taller polar bear, and they just grabbed its neck and stretched it out. That's goofy. We got Resculpt next. 1 blue and 1 instant. Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. Huh. This feels weird for a blue card. Flavor text says, critics were struck first by the elemental surprising grace, then by its fists. And this is another one of those dance with me papa cards in the artwork. Next. Returned Past Caller. Oh, look at that casting cost. 1 white. That's such a weird casting cost. 1 white, 1 hybrid red and white, 1 red and 3. So 6 mana for a spirit cleric with flying. It's 4/2. When returned past caller enters the battlefield, return target spirit, instant, or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Flavor text says, Lorehold spirit statues are not forbidden from raising statues of their own. Weird. Alright. Kind of cool flavor. Kind of, it's an alright card. You can see, that's some funky artwork though. You know? This spirit cleric bird statue that is like also drawing another one of itself back. Weird. A lot of mana though. Then we got Rip Apart. 1 white, 1 red for a sorcery. Choose one. It deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target artifact or enchantment. Respectable. Dude. This is really good, actually. For 2 mana, this is a solid card. Flavor text says, torn from history, torn from memory, torn from reality. And the artwork shows somebody on their knees going, as they get ripped apart. That's pretty rough, man. That's a rough way to go. Just getting ripped apart from, looks like the inside. That's really solid. That is a solid Magic card. What do we got next? Ruta, Mercurial Artist. 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 for a 1/4. Pay 2. Return Rutha, Mercurial Artist, to its owner's hand. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Okay. All right. You know what? Repeatable copying effects. Pretty respectable. And 1/4 means this thing isn't fragile. And the artwork's pretty cool, actually. I like this magical Christmas wreath that she's making out of fire and water magic. Not too shabby. What up, randomness? So now we got Semester's End. 1 white and 3 for an instant. Exile any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of the next end step, return each of them to the battlefield under its owner's control. Each of them enters the battlefield with an extra +1/+1 counter on it if it's a creature, and an extra loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker. Okay. I mean, whatever. You can save your board from like a board wipe or some really bad situation, and they'll come back beefier. And we've all graduated. Everybody get out their Christmas crackers, and we'll shoot fireworks and pew, pew, pew into the air. Okay. I mean, the artwork definitely feels festive and has a nice look to it, so I'm not like super excited by the card, in all honesty, but whatever. Then we got Solve the Equation. 1 blue and 2 for a sorcery. Search your library for an instant or sorcery. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. I feel like a card that does this already exists. Zimone's brilliance drew attention from many, including the sinister mages known as the Auric. Uh-oh. You better watch out, Zimone, whoever you are. You solved the equation, but now they're gonna get you. Next up, Sparring Regimen. 1 white and 2 for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, learn. Whenever you attack, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature and untap it. That art is pretty funky, man. You've got a mage like flinging inky shadow magic towards another mage who's got their scroll out going "Pow!" and blasting it with magic. That's funky. That is funky. Spectacle Mage. 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 for a 2/2 Flying Bird Shaman. Instant and sorcery spells you cast with mana value 5 or greater cost 1 less to cast. Flavor text says, it would be a crime to withhold my light from the world. Yes, smug-looking owl. Little bastard. Yeah, whatever. This card doesn't excite me. Moving on. Spirit Summoning. So this is a lesson that costs 2 hybrid, red and white, and 1 for a sorcery that creates a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. That's pretty underwhelming. Flavor text says, books are fantastic, but if you're really curious about the distant past, why not ask someone who was there? Oh, that's a good question. Literally request how it worked in the past from somebody who was there. Stonebinder's Familiar. 1 white for a 1/1 spirit dog. Whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Stonebinder's Familiar. This ability triggers only once each turn. Flavor text says, hey, my great-great-grandfather had a dog just like that. All right. I mean, that's funky. You've got a spirit dog that grows in strength. I dig it. I like the artwork. Seems like an interesting concept. Stonebound Mentor. 1 white, 1 red, and 1 for a 3/3. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, scry 1. And the flavor text says, Quintorius beamed, his mind eager to absorb every historical fact the spirit wanted to divulge. All right, so the artwork shows literally a spirit that is saying things to the elephant legendary dude we saw earlier. And he's like, oh, tell me everything. Well, how did your boobs feel in the past? All right, next up, Strict Proctor. 1 white and 1 for a 1/3 flyer. Whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. So it doesn't fully shut off entering play abilities, but it does make them more costly. And it's weird. This one has the same kind of like lightning flowing through it that the dog did, and also the bird statue that we saw did. It makes me wonder if there was originally a different purpose for this stylized kind of art. Maybe it's been repurposed. I don't know. Next up, Strixhaven Stadium. What is this? This looks like it belongs more on Kylum. This looks like Kylum artwork. Oh, no, never mind. I get it. The whole, like, Harry Potter Quidditch kind of stuff, right? Because this set, like, I mean, if you're really looking at things, it clearly looks like they originally intended to do a Harry Potter crossover with this set, and then either abandoned the idea or licensing fell through, and they just were like, well, we've already got a bunch of stuff for it, right? So, 3 casting cost artifact, tap it, add a colorless, put a point counter on Strixhaven Stadium. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, remove a point counter from it. Okay. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, put a point counter on Strixhaven Stadium. Then if it has 10 or more point counters on it, remove them all and that player loses the game. Weird. Okay, I see. The player that you did the combat damage to loses the game. So even if you put a bunch of counters on it just by tapping it and adding mana, you still have to swing in with creatures to get the win. Okay, Alright, Sudden Breakthrough. 1 red and 1 for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Create a treasure token. Flavor text says, Rutha created constantly, passionately, in hopes of impressing her greatest critic, herself. I only needed my own approval. I'm gonna make this into a sweet bong and show everybody. They're all gonna dance around it. Alright. Then we got Tanazir Quandrix. Oh, this is the Quandrix Elder Dragon. 1 blue, 1 green, and 3. 4/4 Flying Trample, Legendary Elder Dragon. When he enters the battlefield, double the number of +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. Whenever he attacks, you may have the base power and toughness of other creatures you control become equal to Tanazir Quandrix's power and toughness until end of turn. Oh, cool. All right, I like that. And the artwork's awesome. Look at him. He's just standing there flexing like, look at me, I'm a cool dragon. And his wings are so funky. They're segmented. Like, they're segmented more like, I don't know, like dragonfly wings or something. He's got 2 sets of wings, and each set of wings isn't just 1 wing. It's like 4. How many wings does he have? 16? Maybe more? Is there 2 more? Yeah, that's nutty, dude. That's awesome. This is a cool looking card with cool artwork. I dig it. Then we got Teach by Example. 2 hybrid red-blue for an instant. Whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Alright, I mean, that makes sense in red and blue. Learning to imitate a master is the first step in becoming one. And you can see there are a couple of mages there just flinging spells. Alright, it's fine. Nothing to write home about. Then we got Teachings of the Archaics. 1 blue and 2 for a sorcery lesson. Oh, this one's rare. If an opponent has more cards in hand than you, draw 2 cards. Draw 3 cards instead if an opponent has at least 4 more cards in hand than you. Okay, I mean, alright. Flavor text says, mages seek out the ancient beings known as the Archaics for their boundless knowledge of history and magic, dispensed only in cryptic metaphors. That's cool! I like that, man. I like the idea of ancient beings that only speak cryptically but know tons of crazy, amazing things. So I guess that's what we saw on that other card with the weird, like, almost like a, you know, the U-shaped magnets? It looks like they've got a U-shaped magnet strapped to their head. So, all right, that's cool. Then we've got Tenured Ink Caster. 1 black and 4 for a 2/2 Vampire Warlock. When Tenured Ink Caster enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. The flavor text says, another future Archmage from my collection. Okay, so I guess they just learn how to draw people in the air. All right, whatever. Then we got Thrilling Discovery. Oh, I need some water. My voice, goddamn. Thrilling Discovery. 1 white, 1 red for a sorcery. You gain 2 life, then you may discard 2 cards. If you do, draw 3 cards. All right. So you got life gain from the white side, card filtering rummage style from the red side. Flavor text says, this must be the lost city of Xantifar, where my people lived before becoming nomads. Think of the history we'll learn here. Oh, it's another quote from Quintorius. He's got a nice, fun, adventurous attitude. Thunderous Orator. 1 white and 1 for a 2/2 Vigilance Core Wizard. Whenever he attacks, he gets flying until end of turn if you have a creature with flying. And the same for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, and Trample. Alright, we've seen this kind of ability before. It's fine. It's nothing exciting. The guy looks goofy going on the stairs. Whatever. Moving on. Then we've got Velomachus Lorehold. We got the red-white legendary Elder Dragon. 1 white, 1 red, and 5. 5/5 Flying Vigilance Haste. It's already beefy. Whenever he attacks, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value less than or equal to his power from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the... Wow, dude, you swing with it right away. You swing with it right away. It doesn't tap to attack. You get to cast a spell that costs 5 or less off the top of your deck out of the top 7 cards. That's nuts. This card is nuts. And that's some good dragon artwork too, you know? Alright, let's move on. Venerable Warsinger. This is another one of those statue ones. 1 white, 1 red, and 1 for a 3/3 Vigilance Trample Spirit Cleric. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of damage Venerable Warsinger dealt to that player. Wow. Okay. So these things can get themselves back even. Like if you have 1 out and swing with it, you can get 1 you lost before back. Dude, that's crazy. And look at the size of the statues. You got tiny little people down there for scale. Love it. Then we've got Verdant Mastery. Ooh, what's this? 1 green and 5. A sorcery. You may pay 1 green and 3 rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Okay, so I guess we're going to get a cycle of mastery spells that can be cast for reduced costs, but with obviously not as good conditions, right? So, search your library for up to 4 basic land cards and reveal them. Put 1 of them on the battlefield tapped under an opponent's control if the 4 mana cost was paid. Put 2 of them onto the battlefield tapped under your control, and the rest into your hand, then shuffle. Okay, so if you pay 4 mana, you're going to get 2 lands onto the battlefield, 1 into your hand, but you give your opponent a land? This is fucking garbage. Are you kidding me? Explosive Vegetation is like 1 green and 3. Just put 2 lands into play under your control. I gotta pay 6 mana to get 2 lands out and 2 into my hand. Or if I pay 4, I get 2 lands. My opponent gets 1. Like, fuck this, dude. This is garbage. The artwork's funky though. You got a dude standing there in front of Disappointment Town. This card, you know what, dude? I'm moving on. This card sucks. Then we've got the Wandering Archaic. 5 mana for a 4/4 avatar. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, they may pay 2. If they don't, you may copy that spell. Yeah! That's awesome! Either they have to pay more for their spells or you get them for free. That's cool. Alright. And the artwork shows one of these crazy archaics in front of... Wait, are these the things that people were saying are Kozilek-ish? Is that what it is? I remember people saying, hey, do you see Kozilek stuff? Is this what is making people think that Kozilek's going to be on Strixhaven? Because I don't believe that for a second, man. Maybe we'll do a video on that. We'll talk about it. Whatever. Let's move on to the next card. Zimone. Oh, it actually has a card. Zimone Quandrix Prodigy. 1 blue and green, 1 green for a 1/2 human wizard. Pay 1 and tap. Put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. All right. 4 and tap. Draw a card. If you control 8 or more lands, draw 2 cards instead. Respectable. Double James Tome action. And the flavor text says, what are they complaining about? It's not like axiomatic leyline paratrigonomics is hard. Oh, look at you. Look at you. You fancy word user. All right. All right. That's fine. Whatever. I like the abilities. Oh, all right. Like I said, A to Z, my friends. That is all of the cards that we have, however many, I don't know, 70, 80, whatever it was. That was a crazy number of cards that we have plowed through. So, I hope you had a good time chilling out, talking about some new Magic cards. I got stuff to do, and I'm going to be streaming again in a couple hours over on the Historian channel anyway. So, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks, everybody, for coming and hanging out. Have yourselves a good one. If you haven't seen this from the beginning, the live stream will be left up. So watch it at your leisure. Or don't. Whatever makes you happy. Goodbye for now, my friends.